is what's new in UAC 7.9, updates in UAC, Universal Portal, UDMG, integrations, and more. I'm Lauren Tanzini from Stonebranch, and I will be your moderator today. Before we begin, let's cover a few things. This event is designed to be interactive between you and the speakers. If you have any questions, please add them into the Q&A tab in the dashboard, and we will answer them at the end of the session. If we don't get to your question, we will follow up with you afterwards. Additionally, in the right-hand corner of your screen, you will find handouts related to the session for documentation and other resources. With all that said, it's my pleasure to introduce our Stonebranch speakers for today's session. Gwen Clay, Chief Product Officer, Nils Boer, Vice President of Solution Management, David Ainsworth, Principal Product Manager, and Robert Olson, Principal Product Manager. Let's go ahead and get started. Gwen, take it away.
Okay, thank you very much, Lauren. And welcome everyone to the fourth and final session of this year's UserVerse Online. Today we're going to walk through the full portfolio of products, and we have plenty of material to cover, which will hopefully provide a little bit for everyone who's on the call today. So just kind of moving forward. Next. These are the sessions we're going to cover off, everywhere from our recently released 7.9 through the portal, UDMG, and of course Nils is going to wrap it up for us today with some new integrations and a very interesting and exciting demo as well. So let's get started. So this is currently our portfolio of products within the Universal Automation Center family of components. So at the core of the product, the orchestrate level, we have the universal controller and also the universal portal. How we automate across the enterprise is really through our universal agent technology and our universal integration platform. And also today, we're going to announce some exciting developments with our universal data mover gateway, which allows you to do B2B file transfers with all of your trading partners. So let's get forward and let's start talking about Universal Automation Center, the controller and agents. So if we move forward to the next slide, these will be the key highlights that we'll be covering off. Now, we won't be covering off all of these items, but we have some really strong and very advanced features that we provided in this release. Two major capabilities have been introduced with the new Universal Reporting Server and also new advanced architectural enhancements to OMS. On top of that, we've continued to expand our support with Universal Portal and our container management. We've now ported our agent technology to Graviton and also our new approvals task that we'll be talking about a little bit later on. On top of that, we have dozens of small enhancements, the majority of those customer-driven to satisfy the continually evolving IT landscapes of our customers. So let's hand this off to David Ainsworth to talk about the new Universal Reporting Server.
Okay, next slide, please, Niels. And I think we'll start with a poll. So over to Lauren.
Yes. So here is our first poll. I'm going to show it on the screen. All right. What is your main motivation to keep long-term execution data? Regulatory compliance and legal, reporting, BI and analytics, data warehouse, and diagnostics. All right. Let's give everyone a second to take the poll. All right. I'm going to go ahead and close it. It looks like 54% said regulatory compliance and legal.
Excellent. So next slide, please, Niels. And let's talk about the reporting server. So why do we need a reporting server? Well, we see a trend that your environments are getting bigger and more complex, and you're running a lot more executions to automate all of those application processes. And the volume of data is growing significantly. But at the same time, you tell us you have compliance and regulatory demands that mean you need to keep the data for longer. And we just saw that from the results of the poll. And it's not just for general reporting, but for audit purposes and to provide analytics for diagnostic and predictive insights. We don't want to keep all of that data in the primary database, and we don't want to commit our resources to running complex reports against that data. So as we dug into this some more and we looked at the overall reporting requirements for the new reporting server, customers overwhelmingly told us that they want exactly what we currently have in the UAC. So they're actually very happy with the existing reporting capabilities. So we created this solution. It's a reporting server, which is a separate instance of UAC, limited to the scope of reporting. A reporting server that can use any supported database that does not have to be the same as the primary UAC database. For example, you can use Postgres for your reporting server and for your long-term data store. So you don't need an additional licensed database. It's a reporting server that does not significantly increase the maintenance effort. We know our upgrade process is simple and that it is one of the many things that customers love about UAC. The dedicated scope of the reporting server and that simpler environment, we have no OMS, we have no attached agents, means that the upgrade is basically one more step in the process and not significantly adding any more complexity to your upgrade process. Really importantly, is that the application manages the data replication to the reporting server. Some customers are already running an archive server and they are managing the export and import and the whole data lifecycle manually themselves. It makes a lot of sense to let the application itself handle the replication activities. And very importantly, that means there is no data loss, as the data is not purged from your primary UAC until it has been replicated to the reporting server. Also, we have a very elegant way to replicate your data from your existing archive server into the new reporting server. And that means you can take advantage of the new reporting server and still have access to the already collected long-term data that you've collected over the last period of time. That's really important. All of your reporting distribution requirements are satisfied, from those simple report emails from the reporting server itself to the more complex distribution, like sharing data into your cloud storage, which can continue to be executed from your primary UAC with the reporting work delegated to the reporting server. So let's go to the next slide and have a look at the visualization of this. So we have a one-to-one relationship between the reporting server and the UAC instance. And there's good reason for this. We need to maintain all the security access and the definitions, just like the source UAC. The agent definitions themselves are represented as they were an important part of the original run. However, they don't actually exist as attached agents on the reporting server because we don't execute anything from the reporting server. And the replication of data from the production UAC does not go via the instance itself and only pulls directly from the database, which is the most efficient way to manage the replication and doesn't use any of the resources from the primary server. So we've had some really positive feedback so far from all the customers that I've spoken to. We really look forward to hearing yours when you start to take advantage of that new reporting server capability. Next slide, please. So let's talk about the backup and purge from your primary controller. I see this as being complementary to the reporting server because while we now have an automated way to store our execution data for the long term with the reporting server, we still need to efficiently remove the data from our primary UAC database. And we've made some impactful changes in this functionality. We've significantly improved how the data is selected and how the backup and purge is performed. As I mentioned already, we know if the data has already been replicated to the reporting server, so we can remove that data with confidence. We've also implemented smaller packet sizes to improve performance and processing, and we've removed some redundant cross-checking and updates to the data that are no longer necessary. All this means significantly improved performance that all users will benefit from when it comes to that backup and purge process. So very good news indeed. Next slide, please. And let's advance to the next slide. I'm now going to talk about something that you can't get your hands on just yet. It's planned to be available around December time. But if you are running an HA environment, which most of our large customers are, you will know that we have a message database in OMS. And it's the component that allows us to recover from failover and serves as a permanent source of truth for message state history. And it means we don't lose any of our persistent messages in our automation communication. So far, we've had a requirement that the message database resides on a network file share. So more than one OMS component can reach it, and it can identify which OMS is active, and therefore knows which one to send messages to. We've had many requests to remove that dependency on the network file share, as it was viewed as a potential single point of failure in the whole architecture. But in the new OMS, each OMS has its own local database. Those databases are kept in sync using industry standard replication functionality between those databases. The actual functionality of the message database is just as it was, and the client to OMS server protocol remains unchanged. And we maintain backward compatibility, so there is no requirement to change the UAC server or the agents. Some important information: by default, the replication feature in the OMS server will be turned off, so it will still use the shared message database. So don't be caught out by that. You do need to explicitly turn on the feature to take advantage of it. So no more dependency on the network file share, and that was a request that we heard quite a lot. So next slide, please. And let's advance one. So we introduced a UDM enhancement in 7.9 that means the UDM transfers operate more seamlessly in the world of containers. We added SNI support, which is server name indication, which is basically the ability to specify the host name of the server. So why is this important? Well, before 7.9, it was not possible to transfer directly from a Kubernetes server to a Kubernetes server. You had to stage the transfer on an intermediate server. And the same was true of the mainframe UDM agent, where it wasn't possible to transfer directly from mainframe to a Kubernetes server. Because we now allow you to specify the host name, and we support routes for OpenShift and ingress for AKS and other Kubernetes-based platforms, you can now transfer directly from Kubernetes to Kubernetes with UDM agents on each. And the transfer from a mainframe UDM can also be delivered directly to a Kubernetes server UDM. Quite simply, this reduces the number of steps or transfers you need to make, so it's an important enhancement in the world of containers. Now I'll hand back to Gwyn.
Okay, thank you very much. It's my pleasure to introduce you to a new pre-built task type that we're going to be introducing as part of 7.9 approvals. So let's kind of move forward. So maybe let's just take a little bit of a step back. When we originally built the system, we introduced the capability of what was called a manual task. And manual tasks were originally designed as being within a workflow, was designed to basically be a step where there needed to be some form of manual check or approval kind of that human in the loop type approach. And back then, it certainly served its need. As we've introduced more business users and more complex business scenarios, we really started to run into a lot more advanced approval scenarios in terms of, individual approvals, multiple approvals, and/or approvals that the manual task really simply wasn't designed for. And it became necessary for us to build a new task type called the approval task. So this task type supports all types of approvals. It can get very, very granular, very, very complex. It can be at a group level. It can be at an individual level. And it's got notifications as well. We've also tried to make it very visible within the system as well. So with 7.9, there's a specific menu items for approvals. Also, we provide notifications in the inbox, and we've really tried to make it friendly for citizen automators, especially within the universal portal. Now, what's also important is that we have not changed the manual task at all. So the manual task continues to live and thrive within UAC. There will be no changes to any of your workflows. If you do wish to switch to an approval task versus a manual task, because you do need more advanced approvals, you can go ahead and do that. And then when you're building new workflows, perhaps consider using the approval task first before the manual task as well. So let's kind of take you to a couple of quick screenshots here. The first one, if we move forward, is from the universal portal. And you'll see that this is a task definition here. And what I'd like to bring your attention to is the top right-hand corner, where on the universal portal, if there is even one new approval required, that icon will pop up, and it'll pop up with a badge on it to identify how many approvals are required. And it will enable you to then click on it and then satisfy the approval, right? So this is kind of a scenario where you have citizen automators and you really want to do more BPM type functionality and allow those business users, maybe they're doing some analytics, maybe they need to get approval in order to move forward. And then let's take it to the next step, and we'll show you an example of how complex some of these approvals can be. So here you see that it could be one single person, it could be multiple people, or it could be a group as well. So you can really build very complex approvals as well, which may mirror your business, where it could just be something that one or multiple people need to approve within a group versus any one individual. And then we'll also show this from within UAC as well. So with UAC, if we move forward, you'll be able to also put in all of the approval details, and then also put any of the approval criteria where you could have a match all or match any requirement on either a username or a group name. So that's it with the new approvals, and it will come out of the box with 7.9. It is not through the integration hub. It's built and baked right into the system from day one. Good. So let's now talk about, if we move forward, we're going to talk about a little bit about Universal Portal. So if you remember, we introduced Universal Portal 1.0 back in the spring of this year. We'd like to just give everyone a quick little reminder of what Universal Portal is and who it's for, and also talk about what we've been doing with Universal Portal 2.0. So as we move forward, so the Universal Portal is really designed to be a simple self-service automation from anywhere on mobile devices that's really tailored to the needs of the citizen automator, right? Your business users, your IT admins, your ITSM help desk people, your DevOps professionals, your data professionals who don't necessarily go into UAC on a daily basis, right? For the UAC power user, we believe that we've created an extremely good experience with the UAC UI already. So this is a mobile-friendly user interface, right? So it's responsive and allow you to work from anywhere on any device. We're going to be at, the Universal Portal 1.0 had both English and German. And we're going to talk about how we've expanded that in just a few slides. It's really role-based, and it's great for doing human in the loop, especially with the new approvals tasks that we've introduced in 8.0. And moving forward. And I think I've already addressed this a little bit, but again, this is really where companies are trying to develop a culture of automation first. Part of that is to provide a user interface that is appropriate for all users within the system. And moving forward. And this is the task board overview. So this is the primary view. It allows you to establish different timeframes. We've actually aggregated a lot of the different task states into 4 different categories, which allows you to more quickly filter, and it allows you to go in and drill down on any screen size to get more and more details. And then also, if we take a look at it from I believe the next view is the mobile interface as well. We've really designed it so that the mobile experience is top notch. It really adjusts to your screen size. It adjusts to your display in terms of rotation, and then a lot of the controls that we've built are purposely built for your thumb or finger to be able to get in with the 3 dotted UI, and then also from a scrolling perspective, it scrolls excellently with your fingers. Now, what we've done in Universal Portal 2.0 is we've expanded out to a broad range of European languages, right? So we've gone from English and German all the way through Spanish, Dutch, Italian, French, and Portuguese. Also, as you can see, we have introduced a new dark mode that allows those people who prefer darker contrast backgrounds to enjoy using Universal Portal as well. So let's kind of touch on containers a little bit. So when we think of containers, we've gotten to a point where containers are now a first-class citizen of the UAC portfolio. And whether it's our controller or our agents, as we generate new versions out of our development pipeline, we're also providing Docker containers right through the build process, right through the QA, and delivery at real time with when we make our products generally available. However, with containers are relatively simple things, but sometimes the container management systems, as we move forward, those. Oh, we have a question first. So let's ask people how far along you are in your container journey. We asked the same question about 6 months ago. We're really curious to see how this is progressing within our customer base as more and more customers flee their VMware solutions.
All right, let's everyone take a moment to take the poll. How far along are you in your container journey? We are heavily using containers. We are deploying more and more workloads to containers. We are in early stages of using containers, or we are not currently using containers. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. Okay, it looks like 58% say we are deploying more and more workloads to containers.
Yeah, and that seems to be pretty bang on with our explorations and discussions with our customers as well. So I think that that's interesting. I love seeing that the findings through this poll validate what we experience on a daily basis as people are more and more curious about not only deploying UAC and its components within containers, but more and more all the time also how to more effectively automate workload that's running in containers. Good. So deploying UAC in containers, So containers have been around for a while. We now build containers as part of our pipelines. But one of the challenges we also have is that while containers are relatively simple and straightforward, sometimes container management systems are not. And while a lot of the container management systems are based on Kubernetes, they all have their own configuration aspects. Some of them have added different security frameworks to take advantage of other cloud services if they're cloud native Kubernetes as cloud native container management systems. So what we've been doing is we've been increasing the level of prescriptive guidance we provide in each release across container management systems. So with 7.8, we provided guidance on how to deploy a container in OpenShift within your own self-managed environment. In this release, we're also providing prescriptive guidance on how to deploy UAC within Kubernetes and also OpenShift on Microsoft Azure. And we'll be continuing this forward as well in follow-up versions around the major cloud service providers. So why are we providing prescriptive guidance? What we're really trying to do with customers is saying that if you take a Stonebranch built container and you deploy it and configure it in this way, it is a best practice, and that you will achieve the optimal results for running Kubernetes in your environment. Okay, moving forward, I think it's time to talk about UAC integration. So over to you, Nils.
Nils, are you muted or are you still there?
I think someone muted me. Okay. So, is it fine now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, let me walk you through some of the new integrations we've added to Universal Automation Center. This year, we focused on the following main areas: Oracle Fusion, SAP BTP Cloud, containers, data pipeline, and self-service. Starting with Oracle Fusion, we've added a brand new integration for Oracle Fusion Cloud. With our Oracle ESS integration, you can schedule any process in Oracle Fusion, and it comes already pre-configured with 65 Fusion, ERP, and HCM processes right out of the box. Let me show you quickly this Oracle Fusion task. I think then it gets clearer what I mean. So this is our Oracle ESS Fusion task. In this Fusion task, you can basically, first of all, put the connection parameters. So it's, of course, OAuth 2 authentication. You select the action, for example, submit a job on Oracle Fusion. You give your username and password, the token, URL, and so on. And then you can select here the process which you want to schedule. And as I mentioned, there are many processes which you can schedule. So these are the ones that are pre-configured already. So these are 65 at the moment. If there's a process not inside or not pre-configured, then you can add it in the so-called parameter mapping file. So here's a mapping file. In this mapping file, each process is defined and which parameters it has. For example, if you have this process here, auto reconcile bank statement, then you have these parameters: statement ID, from statement is to statement ID, and so a number of days. So all the parameters which are supported by Oracle, you can just add them in the mapping file and put in new processes in. When you define the process, for example, this one, create accounting, then you can put the parameters that you want to use for automation, you can put in these job parameters field here. Because normally you don't need all the parameters from the process. You just need a few to run or for your automation. The others are default parameters. In this case, I have the parameters ledger, subledger, and end date, which I'm setting. The IDs I get automatically from the system. So that means these add, so that's basically a function. As soon as you enter the ledger, it will get the ledger ID automatically. Some processes, like for example, create bank statement, this is a customer example, they just need the bank account. which they submit for automation. If you need additional parameters, then you can just add them here in the job parameters list. Also, if you have new processes which are not part of the 65 predefined one, you can also add them in the generic parameter mapping file. So the more projects we are going to do, the more processes you will have pre-configured and you don't need to do anything. Okay, let me switch back to the integration. Yeah, so let's talk about SAP BTP Cloud. So using our new SAP job scheduling integration, you can now schedule applications running on Cloud Foundry or SAP Kaima. This integration was developed together with the SAP team from Bulgaria. With this enhanced SAP BTP template task, that's the second one here, you can run jobs based on any BTP template, such as S/4HANA templates or IBP templates. And many of our customers are already using these integrations today, including some of SAP's major global installation. We've just enhanced it for one of our German customers, which is also one of the key SAP customers, to support also template parameters. Parameters are very complex in BTP templates, but with our new task, you can provide the parameters for all the different templates which you have. The last one is the Honico Batchman. So that's an integration which we are doing for our new company, which is the Batchman, which we have acquired. So you can run now Batchman jobs from Universal Controller, and we've shown this already in the UserVerse, which we did on Tuesday, the Honico UserVerse. So in case you're interested in this, seeing it in action, the task, just watch this recording of this UserVerse. For self-service, we have built a certified ServiceNow application for UAC. This means a business user can now create and schedule even multi-step SAP jobs directly from ServiceNow without the involvement of the scheduling team. You just need a ServiceNow account and you can download the app and schedule your SAP tasks in Universal Automation Center. The application is currently in the certification process with ServiceNow. Once this is done, it can be downloaded directly as a certified app from the ServiceNow store. However, if you want to try it out already, I can give you a demo because the app is basically ready. It just needs to pass the certification process. Yeah, let's talk about container. I think Gwyn already talked about it and also David. So what we see is that many customers are moving critical applications from virtual machines to enterprise Kubernetes platform for scalability and cloud readiness. UAC supports scheduling of Kubernetes jobs and managing file transfers directly to Kubernetes. In the latest UAC 7.9 release, we add also support for OpenShift routes and Kubernetes ingress by adding support for TLS SNI for the Universal Data Mover. This new feature allows now to transfer data between different Kubernetes clusters. This was a request we got from a customer in the Netherlands, but also a US customer. So now it is in and it works really nice. We offer also dedicated integrations for Kubernetes jobs and each of the major Kubernetes platforms like Google, GKE, AKS, and EKS. For all these platforms, we support the dedicated authentication required. For example, for Google, we use the service account authentication. One thing is to mention here is that Google itself, the mainframe team, uses this task, and there's also a blog post on Google on this integration that we did together with them. In the data pipeline space, we now support Boomi, and we have edited dbt Cloud alongside with our existing dbt support. So this was also for a customer. And we've also enhanced the intercloud data transfer integration. It now supports more than 20 different rules to automatically rename files after transfers. We got this idea from a customer who told us that you can do it already in UDM. Why can we not do it in the intercloud data transfer? So this is why we added now this functionality of flexibly renaming files after the transfer with all kinds of renaming rules. Okay, now let's look at the UAC utilities. So for UAC utilities, what we have done, we have created a new task for jobs as code. For example, we have one customer that wants to upload his workflow definitions to GitHub, then change the names of the task, and then downloads it after the changes, the definition into the next controller. So this is just one example of jobs as code. And I would like to show you how this works in action. So I have here my jobs as code task. So this jobs as code task, what it does, it basically can upload definitions from Universal Controller to GitHub, to GitLab, to Azure DevOps, so all the different providers. Here's a list of the providers. Bitbucket is also supported. Then you say where you want to upload it, in this case to the development branch. This is my path, the UserVerse is the folder basically. Then I can decide in which format I want to upload it. I like more YAML because I can read it easier than JSON. And then you can say what you want to upload. In this case, I want to upload a workflow, but you can also upload everything for a specific business service, everything you put in a bundle, everything a trigger is related to, or you can even use regex and wildpaths now. So I'm going to upload this workflow here. This is called UserVerse 25. I show you this workflow. This is the workflow I'm going to upload. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload it, and later on I'm going to change the ABAP in one of these SAP tasks. So here's the ABAP called ZBonus103, and I'm going to update this ABAP in this workflow to a new version. So let me quickly upload the stuff. So just say launch. It's now very fast. People who used this task in the past remember it was not that fast. Now we changed completely the way how it works. You saw it goes in a second to upload the workflow. And because we are not using any more individual commands for it. So now I'm open this. Here you see what has been done. So it's, you see, these are all the tasks from the workflow that are updated, the connections, the script, which are contained in this workflow, the business services workflow assigned, the virtual resources assigned to workflow. So everything is nicely also documented in the standard out. If I now go to my GitHub, there should be now this folder UserVerse. And everything is nicely uploaded in a nice structure, folder structure. So you see here the business services, scripts, and I now want to change one of the tasks, one of the SAP tasks, and I wanted to change in this task here the ABAP. That's what we said. So I'm going to change it here. So I go to the ABAP. This I think is in 112. So I'm going to change it to 3B, a new version of the ABAP, and then I commit it. So now what does this commit? This commit now sends a message to a webhook message to Universal Controller. And in the past, we were then automatically uploading the stuff. Now what I've done, I've entered an intermediate step, an approval task. Maybe you, I think you heard Dwin talking about this nice approval task. So let me see. I will log in now to my Universal portal using my account. So you see also the login is very nicely done with Intra. So I'm not logged now in. And and there you see there's already the notification, and there says approved from GitHub 29 seconds ago. So if I approve this now, then actually the changes will be done. So I press the approval button and then say approve. Okay, so let me check. Okay, I think I didn't press the button. I think I pressed the button. Okay, let me check. If it's, maybe I need to set it up. Now I've done something wrong. Sorry, this is a live demo. So I go to my approval. Okay, so the approval should be done. So let me go to my workflow and see if now the ABAP has been changed. Okay, so there was something wrong. Maybe I'll just do one last thing. Maybe now approval required. Approve, confirm. Okay, I did not confirm the approval. That was my problem. So now it should work. Let me go now check again. And now you see the ABAP has changed. So what I missed was after the approval, I did not press the confirm button. So now I press the confirm button. So you've seen everything worked fine, and now the new ABAP is there. So I think this is a very nice thing that you can have this approval task before actually the change is done. Of course, you could still do it automatically without an approval between when you see the webhook event. Yeah, this was what I wanted to show you about jobs as code. So now let's finally talk about observability. So we are a partner now of Dynatrace. So this means we get a free Dynatrace environment, and also we can upload our integrations as certified integrations to the Dynatrace store. And what we have recently built is a Dynatrace extension. So that's not a universal controller extension, it's really a Dynatrace extension, which you can download from the Dynatrace store. And this extension will provide you a default dashboard, which you of course can later on change if you want it. But it's something nice to start with. Let me show you this default dashboard, which you can download from the Dynatrace hub. So this is the extension, how it's called, which you can download from the store and install it onto your Dynatrace system without any detailed knowledge of Universal Automation Center. And it gives you just some basic information for, like, for example, how many tasks have been late finished, what's the OMS status, how many agents are currently connected, how many database connections are, what is the universal controller version. Then it gives you information about active tasks, instance success and failures, tasks executed by type. And it also gives you information about the log file and also about the traces. So logs, traces, and task instances and general overview of the system is provided by default. If you want different, let's say, widgets, that's of course possible. Then you can just extend the downloaded extension. So this extension is will be available in the Dynatrace store soon. It's currently in evaluation. However, if you need it now, it's not a problem. You can just ask support, and we will provide you this extension. And you can try it out by yourself. Yeah, that was all what I wanted to show to you. Maybe one last thing, we have also a beta integration. So for the Logix DocX system, which is currently in use by one German customers, but we have some more interest. So in case you have a beta Logix DocX system, you can also now send data to this system in real time. So it's a real-time integration with beta Logix DocX using our event capabilities. Yeah, now let me hand over back to Gwyn. So it's to Robert, actually.
Robert, correct.
All right, thanks, Niels. That was actually very impressive. So next we're going to talk about what's new in the Universal Data Mover Gateway, or UDMG for short. You can advance to the next slide. So you heard we have a Universal Data Mover, or UDM, and Universal Data Mover Gateway, or UDMG, together, which make up the file transfer portion of Stonebranch's Universal Automation portfolio. Now, some of you might be wondering, why are there two? What are the differences between them? And that's a great question. We go to the next slide. To help illustrate those differences, we need to segment the types of scenarios involving data transfer, in particular, where those transfers are occurring. On the one hand, you've got file transfers that occur within the constraints of your organization or organizational boundaries. That could be between, on-prem systems, between on-prem and hybrid cloud, or between multi-cloud, but it's still within the organizational umbrella. And that's where UDM shines. On the other hand, if there is a need to exchange data outside of your organization, think like business partners or vendors or clients, that's considered B2B, or business-to-business file or data exchange. And this often comes with a much stricter set of requirements, especially around things like security, maybe legal and or regulatory compliance, reliability in terms of like SLAs that you may need to meet, performance requirements, especially at scale, data privacy, and so on. And furthermore, you might have partners who have different expectations or different needs. Some may still be using legacy protocols, or others may have cutting edge integration demands. That's where UDMG comes into play. It acts as a gateway, hence the name, to bridge the gap between your organization and your partners. It does this by delivering enterprise level managed file transfer for your B2B data exchange needs. Let's go to the next slide. This is sort of like a cross between an architecture diagram and a process flow. And I'll be referring back to it as I go through the features themselves. But it helps illustrate the fact that UDMG is made up of two different components. First is the UDMG itself, which is really the managed file transfer server core. It's really the heart of the solution. It handles everything from like partner provisioning and authentication to the file transfer itself over the various protocols, data routing, and even integration with UAC on the back end. So it's really the core of the managed file transfer solution. However, there is a second and optional security add-on called Secure Proxy. And Secure Proxy is designed to protect data as it moves across or through your network boundary, like at the perimeter or edge of your network. It does this by letting your external partners initiate their secure file transfers into your internal network without ever exposing internal systems directly, and without requiring that you punch holes into your network internal network firewall. Furthermore, there's never a need to store data on disk, not even on a temporary basis. We'll take a look at some of the new features in Secure Proxy in the next slide, and then I'll talk about what's new in UDMG. Thanks. One of the brand new features that we've added to Secure Proxy 1.3 is something called Session Break. Prior to that, all transfers coming in from external partners were brokered through the proxy securely through a secure tunnel that was initiated from inside the network to UDMG. This is still secure. However, with Session Break, you have the option of interrupting the incoming session and performing authentication at the proxy. What this does is it helps remove the burden from the backend managed file transfer server because no unauthenticated connections are ever made to UDMG. As mentioned earlier, with a secure proxy, everything is stored securely in memory. It's never stored on disk. This includes your partner's files, to the configuration of the secure proxy server, to also things like security keys and certificates. Furthermore, we've even enhanced security further, which is you can optionally offload your certificate private keys to a hardware security module or HSM if you have one. You might have noticed in the previous slide something called ICAP protocol, and that is something we've added to the latest version of Secure Proxy, which is the ability to do antivirus and data loss prevention scanning inline, streaming as files are processed by the proxy before they're deposited into UDMG. This lets you validate that files are clean and either block or quarantine them, block them before letting them proceed to the backend UDMG server, ensuring that you never deposit infected files on disk. Of course, the solution is highly available, allowing you to set it up in an active-active or active-passive cluster. And it also surfaces things like the ability to rotate your data encryption keys and master encryption keys. And we've introduced a number of configuration capabilities that allow you to tailor fit the secure proxy to your particular network architecture. Next slide, please. UDMG has a lot of new capabilities as well. One of the things that we're really excited about is that we are now introducing support for the transmission of EDI type data, so electronic data interchange data, which is semi-structured data that are used by various verticals. In particular, we do this through support of a new protocol called Applicability Statement 2, or AS2 for short. We do so in a bidirectional fashion, so you can receive files over AS2 as well as send them to your partners. AS2 is a protocol that is offers high security as well as a component of auditability and receiving. Of course, we haven't neglected the standard, SFTP and FTPS protocols, both in a bidirectional fashion, which is new for our FTP, which was only supported in a server mode prior. Interactive transfers over HTTPS are still supported through our web-based client, web transfer client, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in the next slide. Of course, oh, you can go back. Still not done with this. On the UAC integration, our published event continues to be front and center. We've also added the support to pass to UAC the business services parameters, so you can map those to the equivalents within the UAC monitor event. A number of security enhancements have been added that are also new. I won't go through every single one of these, but the IP filtering from a whitelist and blacklist of IPs has recently been added, which can save you some time, as you don't need to open tickets with your firewall team when you need to onboard a new partner. You can just manage those IPs directly from within both either secure proxy and or UDMG. Rate limiting controls have been enhanced to protect the server's resources, and we've introduced a new concept within the product that allows you to segregate your configuration across your different business units. We call this domains, but it might resonate with you if you thought about it as a series of like namespaces. And ICAP is also supported in UDMG itself, so you can scan files that are at rest before you process them for offloading, if you want, in addition to or in lieu of doing so inline at the proxy. Last but not least, from a partner provisioning and both the partner account provisioning and administrative user type provisioning, we fully support integration with SAML and OIDC/OAuth2, not only for authenticating users, but for authorizing them, so for mapping attributes to users' roles and or account level permissions, as well as just-in-time provisioning. So if users are not present, we can create them automatically for you. And if you prefer to use other federated sources, we have support for the LDAP protocol, or you can manage your users directly within the product manually if preferred. Next slide. From a scalability perspective, we've also enhanced UDMG. In prior versions, we had active-passive support. We've upped the game to support active-active for horizontal scaling. We have added centralized credential management as well, so you can create your certificates, keys, tokens, credentials, every such thing like that, and do it once, and then reference it throughout the entire application. I kind of touched earlier upon the role permission assignment. We've got the fine-grained roles for both users and accounts. So, CRUD operations for clients like upload, download, rename, delete, share, create new folder, etc. And you can do that either manually through what we call these account group associations with pipelines, or you can do so at the time that they're provisioned through the SSO through the attribute mapping. Of course, we didn't want to neglect usability. We care about how easy it is for the software to be used. So we've been reorganizing and refactoring the administrative UI, especially to accommodate some of the new constructs like domains and pipelines. And we have completely reimagined our web transfer client experience for those interactive transfers over HTTPS, which includes the ability to share files in an ad hoc fashion, right? So those secure hyperlinks, if they're authorized to do so. And I think I even have a screenshot of the web transfer client in the next slide. Well, we can go back, or that's fine, we'll stay here. So this is the web transfer client. I don't think you can see it too good, and there is so much wealth to cover there. So we'd love to, of course, set up a demo with you and show you all the goodness that's available in the new web transfer client experience for your clients, right? The clients or partners that you engage with. There's a lot of richness there. I think the next slide, Nils, has just a screenshot of the administrative interface. That is just one panel where we show the active transfers. And of course, we'd love to touch base with you and go through and do a demo of the solution as well. So that's all I have for the secure proxy and the UDMG gateway, which comprise the B2B managed file transfer capabilities next to our UDM solution. Thank you.
Okay, so I think we've shared a lot of stuff today. I think you've seen that the portfolio continues to expand, yet at the same time, we're continually making sure that no one is left behind, and that the solutions are deeply interoperable. Now, we're just going to cover off a few things before we switch over to a few questions. If we could advance the slide. So 7.9 is available today. Just download it or talk to your technical support team or your SaaS upgrade team. One important note is the legacy CLI. So we have a command line interface that we've had for probably the past 15 or so years called opcli, which ships with the agent. We are deprecating that as of 7.9. So deprecate doesn't mean delete, and it doesn't mean end of life. It just means that we've modernized with our brand new UAC CLI and also through our REST web services. And those are really our move forward technologies. We want to hear off of you if you have concerns regarding the deprecation of opcli. And then, of course, for those of you who are interested in learning more about the new Universal Reporting Server, please contact your Stonebranch sales rep to arrange a trial or a more in-depth demonstration. So that's all we have for today. I want to thank David, Niels, and Robert for contributing. And let's hand it over to Lauren for the Q&A.
All right. Let's go ahead and get to the questions. Right here is our first question. For the new OMS HA, it will require some additional external messaging tools like Kafka, RabbitMQ, etc.
I'll take that, and the answer is no. This is built in directly into the OMS component, and there will be no third-party tools required.
Okay, next question. When will the latest version of UDMG be available?
That's a great question. I'll take that one. So it's going to be available at the end of November. I recommend setting up appointments to take a look in early December. But yes, November 30th is our target release date.
Okay. How do you think AI observability or automation could change how MFT is managed in the next few years?
I guess that one's for me as well. Ooh, that's a great question, right? I don't have a crystal ball, but I really see MFT evolving with AI and the observability side to kind of be more proactive as opposed to reactive, right? So a lot of what managed file transfer encompasses today is things that were supposed to happen didn't happen, and then you have to really figure out and troubleshoot and deep dive to analyze logs and why didn't something occur. I think with AI, coupled with the observability, is you'll be able to detect and solve some of these things before they happen, right? So alerting and notifications that, like, hey, some configuration might have changed in a manner that's not appropriate, or detecting when you've done something wrong on a configuration side of things. So it's going to make, I think, a lot more productive and less hands-on in terms of troubleshooting, for sure.
Okay. All right. Will the Universal Reporting Server be available in the current license, or will an additional license be required?
You want to take that one, Gwen?
Yes, it will be an additional license, and that if you have interest to contact your sales representative for more details.
Okay. Well, looks like we're at time. There was a couple questions that didn't get answered, so we will follow up with you afterwards. I wanted to thank all of our speakers today. Gwen, Nils, David, Robert, thank you for showing all the updates on everything Stonebranch. Thank you, everyone. This wraps up the Stonebranch UserVerse online series. We appreciate everyone for attending, and later today you will receive an email with all 4 recordings so that you could rewatch and share. Thank you, everyone. Hope you have a great day and look forward to seeing you on our next webinar.